What is up? What is going on, my Jets brothers and my Jet sisters, everybody out there, all my Jet friends, my Jet family? Appreciate you guys, like always, tuning in. Thank you for being here for the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. You got me, Harrison Glazer, and I'm going to talk to you guys about them. Killed it in their last draft. Killed it. Everybody across the board, all the top sources, A minus, A minus. In fact, they're all A's except for a couple of B's, and that's it. Joe Douglas killed it, and it feels great. In fact, he killed it so much, a lot of us are forgetting about the free agency. A lot of us forgetting about the Jets' free agency that had, just been killed as well. That Douglas did a great job there as well, too. Joe Douglas cleaning up in free agency, getting those guys. But let's talk about the Jets draft, okay? So, in the Jets draft, obviously the first pick, 2 overall, the Jets get Zach Wilson, my man. Now, you guys know how I feel about Zach. Hell, I've talked about Zach too much. But he is great. He's going to be special, and we should be excited because we got our guy. I remember I was telling you guys right before the draft that, originally, I've been on Zach for so long, but then the day before the draft, I got really anxious. I got really nervous, and I realized because maybe there was a chance they weren't going to draft Zach Wilson. Didn't make sense to me because you guys remember, we talked about, I noticed a lot more people coming in. Again, appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for, again, like always, being here for the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. Appreciate you guys. Comment. Feel free to say whatever. Happy to talk with you guys. But we're getting into that draft. We're talking about Zach Wilson, baby. We're talking about our future. This kid is it. You guys know it. I haven't stopped saying enough about him. For me, it was always the pocket awareness. So many people say he wasn't pressured in college. Well, they weren't watching close enough. If you watch what you look for in a quarterback, A, from what I saw in Zach Wilson, he's going to do fine pressure or no pressure. And B, the pressure was there. Did you not watch the Coastal game? That was my big selling point. You remember what I was telling you guys. You know how everyone was saying he wasn't pressured and people were crapping on the Coastal game. I was saying the Coastal game was my favorite game of all. That was the game that sold me. All the games of the 3 games-ish before that, I really like what I saw, especially in his pocket awareness, his anticipation, his mobility, his decision-making, arm strength, everything. Checked every box, literally every box, which is rare for me. I don't normally fall for a quarterback. Lewis, my man, he said he's already bought his Wilson AVT and more jersey. That's awesome, man. That's great. And I'm about to, too. I'm honestly about to get my Zach Wilson jersey. I'm just saving up a little bit, and I'm going to get mine. I can't wait. I'm super, super stoked. I want to get mine as well. But, yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, we're going to talk about AVT. Definitely. Zach's asking about Wilson jerseys. Everyone wants one, man. You got to get that Wilson jersey because he's going to be it. We finally have the guy. And, man, I'm just excited, man. I am beyond stoked. I mean, it's Zach Wilson. Just like, back to what I was telling you guys before. In that Coastal game, he was pressured left, right, forward, and back. That Coastal team was undefeated for a reason. They were bringing the fire at Zach Wilson. In fact, remember some of the videos I tweeted? That's where I saw that innate pocket presence. That's where I saw that instinct to know, that guy's going to break the left tackle. Maybe it's a designated rollout, but his timing in designated rollouts is insanity. It's like near perfection. And we saw it. I remember I tweeted it. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. But Zach Wilson's numbers on designated rollouts are insane. If I remember correct, it's 18 touchdowns or something and no picks. Excellent completion percentage. This guy's it. He has what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. He checks all the physical boxes, elite, excellent arm strength, mobility, field vision and awareness, can take a hit. People were crapping on him saying he couldn't take a hit. Same thing. Did you watch that Coastal game? Man, those DBs were getting chippy as hell with Zach Wilson. In fact, you remember that play? It turned out being a penalty because they were knocking him around. They literally threw him down. He got up and they threw him down again. I've seen him when he's running get lit up on the sidelines, get blown up in the end zone. The kid's physical. He's not going to run like that in the NFL because he's smart, but he shows his physicality. So the physicality is there in spades, have all those traits, everything to look for in that way, but it's the intangibles. I call it cerebral traits. Joe Douglas calls it intangibles. You guys saw it. In all those interviews, Joe kept saying that we look for physical athletic traits and intangible traits. And it's basically saying the same thing I am. I call them cerebral traits because I look at them as football, as you hopefully know, is 90% mental. A lot of people will tell you that it's a very physical game, but it's probably, I would say probably 90% mental, making adjustments, reading plays. How many guys do we see, that are outstanding physical specimens and can't make it in the NFL? I mean, I don't want to crap on The Rock at all, but The Rock is a beast. He couldn't make it. Plenty of guys can't make it. And then we see guys that don't have those physical abilities. Maybe a guy like, Jamison Crowder, where first look at him, or even Elijah Moore. If you saw him on the street, you wouldn't think that dude's a football player. But man, is he a burner. Man, does that kid have amazing hands. There's so much more to the game. And man, Zach Wilson, again, has it all. You guys know that was my guy. Whew, I'm excited, man. We have Zach Wilson. We got him at 2. Yep. John says it, shout out. What's up, my man? Appreciate you, John. Great shaft. Great UDFA signings. Been a fan since 86. This is the most pumped I've been for a season. I feel you, bro. And I might say the same thing. I mean, honestly, my favorite days are back when I was a kid, like the Chad Pennington days, the Curtis Martin days, the Wayne Corbett days. Like, those were my days. Like, I grew up with that. I loved it. Probably next to that, I would have to say. Probably next to that. And I thought about that, the other day when I was thinking about Zach Wilson and how excited I was that we drafted him. You guys remember, if you haven't seen it, I tweeted my reaction because everyone on Twitter was asking me, oh, you're so big on Zach Wilson. You've been on him for so long. Can we see your reaction if we draft him or if we don't draft him? So I figured I'd show you guys. So I tweeted out my reaction. If you didn't see it, it's my pinned tweet. I was stoked, man. I was excited because I know what we're getting. It made so much sense. The arguments I've been making and others have made well. It made sense to move on from Darnold, especially when the 49ers didn't trade up. It makes sense for Saleh and Douglas to want to get their guy. Their future basically depends on the quarterback, depends on the other positions, which I think they nailed as well. But, man, we got him. We got Zach Wilson. He's going to be our guy again. I think he could start day one. I honestly do. I think Zach Wilson could start day one. I mean, if we sign I don't see a veteran out there that I love a lot. I mean, a guy like, don't know why I'm having a brain fart at the moment. But the veteran quarterback that I'm trying to think about, I don't know why I can't think about it. I don't know why I'm having a total brain fart right now. But veteran quarterback, used to play for the Patriots, been around a long time. That could be an excellent decision, to go with. Potentially as a backup, somebody to mentor Wilson, to be a voice in his ear. Some people talk about Nick Folk, but, Nick Folk isn't the greatest quarterback. Like, is that the guy you want in Zach's ear? Like, I'd rather have somebody that's, been around, a guy that, has played under Brady. So that's definitely thank you. Thank you, Trey, and I appreciate it. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. My brain was just Hoyer, guys. As you guys know, I'm talking about Brandon Hoyer. So we got Zach Wilson, got him at number 1. Let's move on. The Jets traded up to get the best guard in this draft. The Jets traded up to get Alahia Vera Tucker. And we all know Vera Tucker, man. We're pumped about Vera Tucker. That was the guy that, I would have taken if I had the opportunity. I had said that I thought Vera Tucker was a top 15 pick and that he would probably be off the board by the time the Jets chose. I didn't expect even him to make it out of 20, to be honest. And if you guys check it out, we have the Weapons Hot podcast. I'm, one of the hosts on it. We had it on Friday. We had a live draft show. And the conversation about midway through the draft came up as Vera Tucker. And my conversation, and one of my co-hosts, Kevin Jackson, was saying that he wanted to trade up potentially to get Vera Tucker, but only wanted to trade up a couple of picks. I was saying if you want to get Vera Tucker, you got to trade up into the Chargers pick, into the Vikings pick, into that 12 to like 15 range. That's what I was saying, because that's where you need to go to get a guy like that. And Joe did it. Man, how excited were we when Joe traded up to get Vera Tucker? I went nuts. You can check me out on the feed. We're all chatting and talking, and I look up, and all of a sudden, I freaked out. I look up, and I'm like, yeah! And they all looked at me like I'm crazy, like, what the hell happened? The Jets traded up. And I had said, if the Jets trade up, we know who it's for. If the Jets trade up, they have one player in mind. They're trading up to get Vera Tucker. And look at what Joe's done. Joe has delivered, and not just delivered in the positions that we've been lacking in. The positions that you don't have to be a rocket scientist to freaking see it, man. You just have to look at where we haven't drafted high. All the positions that we hadn't drafted high before Joe Douglas was here, lo and behold, especially offensive line, were the positions we sucked in. And what does Joe do? First year here, with his first round pick, he takes an offensive lineman. He gets Mekhi Becton. You guys know Mekhi was my guy. I loved Mekhi. I thought, everyone was on, Andrew Thomas and Jordan Willis and Tristan Wirfs. I was saying that it was Becton. I loved that kid for a couple of years. His size as well as his physicality. He was my guy, and Joe took him. Joe said he was his guy. And then what does Joe do the next year? He trades up to get the best lineman in the draft. So interesting pattern to think about, So Joe Douglas in his first draft took an offensive lineman in the first round, a wide receiver in the second, and took a couple of defense later, but took a corner in the fifth. This draft, Joe Douglas went offensive line again in the first round, traded up to get an elite guy, went wide receiver in the second, and we're going to talk about him. I didn't expect him to be the pick, but when I heard the pick, I was excited about the pick. Because if you haven't seen it, I've tweeted videos out. I'm going to talk to you guys about it. Elijah Moore is the real deal. Elijah Moore is elite. That kid was insane at Ole Miss. In fact, forget Ole Miss. That kid was insane in college football, period. So he's a player to really be excited about. Joe takes a wide receiver. Remember, last year he took Denzel Mims, a first-round wide receiver that happened to fall to the second, trades back. We all freak out. Oh, my God, we're not going to get Denzel Mims. And he gets Mims anyway. Again, like we've talked about, and I've said to you, showing that Joe doesn't just understand value and talent alone, but understands what other teams value and what they're possibly going to do. And that's an underrated trait, to be able to, predict, okay, this is where this player is going to fall. Like, that is a very underappreciated ability. So offensive line wide receiver last year, offensive line wide receiver this year, rounded out with some corners toward the end. So let's talk about these picks. Let's talk about Alahia Vera Tucker. Let's talk about AVT for a second. Because AVT, man, that got me excited. You guys know I wanted Creed. You guys know Creed was my guy. And I don't care that he went late. It doesn't matter to me. I know what I saw. I see these cerebral traits. I still feel like my value and opinion on Creed hasn't changed. But he went much later in the draft. I would have loved to have him. But Vera Tucker was the guy. Vera Tucker was the best lineman in this draft. And I think I talked to you guys about it, when we took Vera Tucker, to give you a mindset of it. This is similar to, like, if you think, the best guy in the draft should have went in the top 10, 15. I had said, remember, I just told you that I thought he was a top 15 talent. We need to trade it up to the top in the 15 to get it. That's what we did. We went to 14. But Joe Douglas in his interview took it a step further. Joe Douglas said he was a top 10 talent, and we were lucky to get him at 14. Man, I don't argue that. Vera Tucker is an elite talent. And you want to know how elite a talent Vera Tucker is? Last year in 2000, do you know what Vera Tucker's pass blocking grade was by PFF? 92.8. 92.8. That's insanity. That is like basically almost perfect. And we have had an offensive line that not only struggles, but specifically struggles at pass blocking. So, man, Vera Tucker is the real deal. This guy is everything, kind of like with Zach Wilson, what I was mentioning before. He's quick, he's fast, he's pretty strong. He's got good strength, but his specialty is his technique. His technique is near flawless. This guy has excellent, perfect technique. Same thing I look at when I see a guy like Mekhi Becton. Joe's got a type. Joe's got a type like me. You guys remember I've talked to you about my offensive line analysis. Offensive line's big for me. That's why I don't like guys like Alex Lewis. I feel like he wins on strength alone, being just a freaking bull, but his technique is garbage. Joe likes guys that are beasts and maulers and puts people down, but he likes a guy that knows how to play offensive line, has excellent technician. Mekhi Becton, I don't care what happened. He should have been a Pro Bowler last year. Mekhi Becton should have been in a damn Pro Bowl. His technique was outstanding, super strong. He's the full package. And so is Vera Tucker. But the best example, guys, don't take it from me. Take it from legendary offensive tackle Joe Thomas. So I don't think I should have to explain who Joe Thomas is to anybody. Everyone knows who Joe Thomas is. He's a legend. He's one of the best offensive linemen to ever play, even though he's only just retired recently. Joe Thomas, right after the first round, they asked Joe Thomas what was his favorite move or favorite, picks of the first round. Immediately he says Jets. Immediately he says the Jets killed it. He said, I loved it the Jets took Alahia Vera Tucker. He said that in the last draft, his best favorite offensive lineman was Mekhi Becton, like me, like Joe. I loved it, hearing it from a guy like Joe Thomas. See, he says that the Jets took his favorite offensive lineman last year in Mekhi Becton and then took his favorite offensive lineman this year in Vera Tucker, and he loves it. And I'm telling you guys, when it comes to offensive line, if Joe Thomas is giving you his seal of approval, you won. Like, that's it. Like, that's it, guys. Like, I could say anything about these offensive line guys, but that's all you need to know. Legendary future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time, Joe Thomas, says Joe Douglas is basically a brilliant offensive line mind. That he got his favorite guy last year, traded up to get his favorite guy this year. Now, when we traded up to get Vera Tucker, we gave away 2 third-round picks. Some people were upset about that. You guys shouldn't be. It's Vera Tucker. It's like trading up to get one of the best players in the draft because that's what it is. You traded up to get one of the best players in the draft. Worth it every single time. I'm assuming the people that weren't a fan of the pick haven't really seen Vera Tucker play. Now, I mentioned his pass blocking grade, PFF of 92.8. I didn't see his run block one, but I bet it was damn high too. Bet it was damn high. Again, this kid does everything well, checks every box. Once Jet fans see this kid play, again, the rhetoric is going to change. It's not going to be, we gave away 2 third-round picks for Alahia Vera Tucker. The conversation's going to be, that's it? Wait a minute. That's it? That's all you gave away? That's how it's going to go. That's going to be the change. Because again, when you have a guy that's amazing and elite talent, and I mentioned, going at the top of the draft should have been a really high pick. We should equate this to when the Washington team took Brandon Scherf high in that draft, when the Colts took Quentin Nelson high in that draft. That's the caliber of offensive guard we're talking about here. That's the caliber, guys. Brandon Scherf, Quentin Nelson, top of the draft guys. Guys that were unequivocally the best offensive line prospect. No one argued it. Anyone that knew what they were talking about didn't argue it. Joe trades up, gets his guy, gives away 2/3. But what does he do? He trades back later twice. Joe trades back twice to not only make up that picks, with the next 6 picks, he rounds out the defense. Sorry, not all those picks. My apologies. So I want to get into the next few for a second. So what does Joe Douglas do? The next pick in the 4th round, because again, we lost our 2/3, he takes running back Michael Carter. And I'm going to talk about these guys for a second, but just to give you a summation of the draft. He takes running back Michael Carter. The pick before that, sorry, I skipped. Pick 2, the best pick of all, honestly, one of them. Up there with Zach Wilson and AVT. Literally up there is Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore. So what do the Jets do? They get their quarterback of the future with their first pick. They get the best offensive lineman in the draft with their next pick. With their next 2 picks, They get the offensive talent. They surround Zach Wilson with offensive weapons. Not just any offensive weapons. I'm going to tell you guys about Elijah Moore in a second. He's not just any weapon. And Michael Carter is an excellent guy in his own right, too. Then with the next 6 picks, Joe Douglas balances out the defense. Joe Douglas balances out the team. So let's talk about these picks for a second. So we mentioned again, Zach Wilson, boom, that's my guy. A.V. Tucker, oh my God, trades up for the best lineman. What does Joe do in the second round? He gets Elijah Moore. Now let's talk about Elijah Moore for a second, because Elijah Moore is not just a regular wide receiver. I didn't want him initially, let's be fair, I'll be honest. It's not that I didn't want him. Elijah Moore is amazing. I would take him, like when we got him, I got excited as hell. Getting excited, tweeted out a lot of videos. If you guys didn't see him, check him out. I gave you guys some highlights on Elijah Moore to show you guys the caliber receiver that Joe Douglas has brought in. Unbelievable. To look at again, the caliber of offensive line that he got in 2 drafts with Mekhi Becton and Vera Tucker. And then the caliber of wide receiver with Denzel Mims and Elijah Moore. Man, you guys know for a long time I've been telling you Joe Douglas is great. I knew it because as you know, I'm a big talent guy, big into evaluation, big into draft prospects, big into, just evaluation and stats in general. I loved what he did when he first came in, the decisions he made. His first free agency was smart. It was actually, as you know, we've talked about from that perspective of, trying to make back the money. He makes back the money, smart as hell. He sold me. I knew quick that we had a great GM. I think everyone's starting to realize it now. Everyone's realizing that we have a great GM here, guys. We really, really do. So Elijah Moore plays for Ole Miss University. And what does Elijah Moore do at Ole Miss? During his time at Ole Miss, Elijah Moore has 3 200-yard games. That's first ever at Ole Miss. No one ever done that before. In the slot, just as a slot receiver, over the last 2 years, Elijah Moore has 1,738 yards. That is the most of anybody in the slot in college football, period. I can go on. Out of his 25 red zone targets, he was targeted in the red zone 25 times throughout his collegiate career. You know how many times he dropped the ball in the red zone? 0. Elijah Moore is 25 for 25 on red zone targets. Now, he also, last year, in 2020, he was tied for second in the whole FBS in receiving yards with 1,193. 1,193 receiving yards last year alone, second in the league. And he was also second with receptions. He had 86 receptions. So this guy has a lot of balls come his way, makes a lot of, great catches as well as regular catches. He's extremely reliable, but he's used to a high volume of passes. He's been getting it throughout his college career. But what's also really special about Elijah Moore is he's lightning fast. He's extremely quick, which makes him an outstanding deep threat. Did you know last year in 2020, Elijah Moore was tied for the 3rd longest catch of the season with 91 yards. He was tied with Anthony Schwartz. And you guys know we talked about Anthony Schwartz. I was really high on him later in the draft as a very speedy guy. Elijah Moore is just as quick, just as elusive, just as speedy, but infinitely better catcher. Infinitely better pass catcher, guys. And again, you see it with these numbers. 1,193 yards just last year, 1,738 yards in the slot over the last 2 years. What was also beautiful, Elijah Moore, did you guys see that A.J. Brown reaction? Man, I tweeted it. I tweeted it if you guys didn't see it. As you know, A.J. Brown, the Tennessee Titans receiver, he played at Ole Miss with Elijah Moore. And apparently they were really close. Really, really close. Because when Elijah Moore was taken by the Jets at 34th overall, A.J. Moore teared up, man. Again, check it out. I tweeted it. A.J. Moore was tearing up. He was emotional. He was so proud for Elijah Moore. But what stuck with me was toward the end of the conversation, A.J. Brown said, I'm going to be real with you, man. I think you're better than me. Think about that for a second. A.J. Brown, guys. A.J. Brown, one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL, period. One of the best young wide receivers since he was drafted just a couple of years ago. He says Elijah Moore is better than him, and the sky's the limit. And it really is. Again, you hear these numbers, you check out the stats. Elijah Moore is the real deal. That kid is going to plug in the slot. People say, oh, because we got Elijah Moore, maybe we should get rid of Jamison Crowder. I don't get that. Again, people say they want to get rid of Jamison Crowder. I say more weapons for Zach Wilson. Just because Jamison Crowder's making $11 million and none of it counts against the cap doesn't mean he should be cut. That doesn't make sense at all. We have the cap room. We don't need to open up cap room. Jamison Crowder has been one of the best slot receivers in the NFL since being drafted. Every year, consistently, one of the best. You're telling me you don't want our rookie quarterback, Zach Wilson, who's now going to be behind Mekhi Becton and Vera Tucker, to have Jamison Crowder and Elijah Moore as inside slot options. Corey Davis and Denzel Mims as outside options. You guys know we talked all about Denzel Mims, the potential there. He could have been a first rounder, could still be a wide receiver one, outstanding catchability. Corey Davis has been a wide receiver one at times. You're telling me now Zach Wilson's top targets are Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Jamison Crowder, and don't sleep on Keelan Cole. And we're going to come back to tight end later on because I'll talk to you guys about the undrafted free agents a little at the end. But man, Elijah Moore, I wasn't expecting it. I was happy with Crowder, but it's a great pick. It's a great pick. Because as much as I love Crowder, and I do, guys, I really, really love Jamison Crowder. Elijah Moore has infinitely more potential. Remember, Elijah Moore, again, was the second best wide receiver in all of college football last year, period. Second best. You heard all the stats I gave you. Watch his catchability. Watch how many balls come his way. He's got outstanding hands, excellent route tree, great awareness, pretty strong for a guy his size, fast, elusive, but because he's so quick, he's an excellent deep threat and an excellent gadget option. That kid could be excellent in the backfield. I, again, tweeted some videos of that as well. Him lining up in the backfield as a running back, running the ball. He's happy doing that, doing maybe, a fake or a boot or some kind of trick, anything. He can do it all, man. Elijah Moore can do it all. So after Elijah Moore in the second round, we don't have 2 third-round picks. So because we don't have 2 third-round picks, who do we take in the 4th round? Guys, the guy we got in the 4th round was technically a 3rd-round pick. I had 3rd-round grade on him. Michael Carter was an outstanding pick. A lot of people sleep on Michael Carter because of Javonte Williams. Because Javonte Williams was so excellent and did such an amazing pro day and shot up everybody's draft boards, everybody forgot about Michael Carter. Everybody did, guys. Everybody forgot about that kid. And that kid is super talented because of Javonte Williams. But he's got excellent field vision. But what my favorite thing about Michael Carter is his patience. If you watch this kid run, he's got excellent patience in the backfield. Like excellent patience. And that's an underrated feature. Very, very underrated trait. You don't see that much anymore. You don't see patient backs. You don't see guys like Ladainian Tomlinson, who is one of my favorite players, guys. I love Ladainian Tomlinson. I have a Ladainian Tomlinson Chargers jersey. He was, when I was a kid, my favorite player. And one of the reasons is that patience he had, man. The ability to not just dance in the backfield, but make a play happen with that patience. And Michael Carter has that. He's patience in the backfield. But for his size, he's incredibly strong. Michael Carter is quite a strong dude for his size. As you guys know, I've talked about, when I do prospect eval, a big thing with me is I don't like to look at, measurables at first. I like to watch the kid play, see what his physical talents are, see how strong he is, at the point of attack, at the catch, whatever it is, whatever position he's playing. But when I watched Michael Carter, I thought the dude was legit maybe, closer to Javonte's size, maybe 210, 215. Michael Carter is barely 200 pounds soaking wet, guys. Michael Carter is very strong for his size. Watch this kid run. For a little guy at only 200 pounds, he's quite strong. He can power through guys. He can run through the tackles. but he's also quick. He can get around the edge, break around the edge, but his underappreciated talent is that patience. Just beautiful patience that I saw from him. Now, the next pick, I'm excited about, guys. At first, I wasn't. So with the next pick, the Jets in the 5th round, 146th pick overall, they take, at the time, safety, Jamie Sherwood. Now, I was a little, I know about Sherwood. I've seen him play a little bit. I'll be honest, I didn't do much safety eval because safety wasn't that big to me. That wasn't in need of the Jets. So I'd seen safeties play. I'd watched, him play at Auburn, but I hadn't, dug deep into him. So I'd known that he was a big hitter. I knew that he was pretty good in coverage, but I scratched my head at a safety pick. It didn't make sense to me. Then the Jets announced him as a linebacker, man, and that was it. That got me really excited because I started to realize what Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas were doing. Now, in the NFL nowadays, especially on defenses, it's about versatility. It's about flexibility. But more important, it's about hybrid players. We were going to go for Keanu Neal. Remember, we wanted Keanu Neal, who was originally a safety. Why did we want him? Because he's close to about 220 pounds. He's a big hitter, excellent in coverage. But because of his athletic ability as a safety, he's going to be an unbelievably athletic linebacker. In a 4-3 system, a good safety that has good strength can be an outstanding linebacker because their agility and their speed and their coverage ability is usually going to be infinitely better than linebackers. So guys like Jamie Sherwood were rated average in coverage, but again, that's against safeties. If you look at Jamie Sherwood in coverage compared to linebackers, it's actually pretty legit. He's quite legit in coverage. But again, my favorite part of him, he's a big hitter. Jamie Sherwood knocks dudes out. He's a big hitter. And I wanted to talk about that for a second because I had a quote I tweeted out today. One of my favorite ones that I'd heard about Jamie Sherwood. I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm going to bring that up because it closed. I'm going to bring that up for you guys. But with Jamie Sherwood, the best thing to think about, again, is when he ran his 40, he had a 4.75 40. And again, that was considered slow for a safety. As a linebacker, I mean, it's not elite, but it's not bad. That's not bad speed at all. So runs a 4.75 40, but people questioned him on that because, again, he was originally a safety. This is what the kid had to say. He goes, I'm not really worried about the 40. It doesn't say everything. I think I played great these past few years. My motto is, how do you stop speed? You hit it. You can run a 4.1, but once you run into a wall, it comes to an end. Man, that last sentence, I want a t-shirt of that last sentence. Like, you can run a 4.1, but when you hit a wall, it comes to an end. Man, I love that. Jamie Sherwood is a big hitter, and again, considered as a linebacker. He's quite good in coverage, and he's got good speed and agility. So when they did that, that told me, because remember, I told you guys linebacker was a major need of ours. So many people potentially wanted, cornerbacks. Remember, I had told you how bad linebacker was, how big a need linebacker was, that potentially we don't have anyone back there. God forbid, if there's a problem with C.J. Mosley, he gets hurt, he can't go, gets hurt again, or let's say Gerard Davis is exactly what he was last year. He was exactly what he was the last 4 years. You don't want him starting. And honestly, I'd kind of moved on from Gerard Davis. So I was excited about Gerard when we signed him because of his potential. You guys remember I told you he was a 22nd overall pick back in 2017. He was supposed to be an elite linebacker. He was supposed to be amazing. He was supposed to be sideline to sideline. The guy's a beast, big hitter, good in coverage. He was supposed to be it all, but it never translated. In fact, it translated so bad, most years he's got like a PFF grade of 40-something. It's not good. It's really not good. But man, I've moved on from Gerard Davis. I am excited about Jamie Sherwood and the other guy that we signed to play linebacker that I'm going to come to. But before that, we took two corners. And again, we talked about defense being an issue. So Joe Douglas got his quarterback, got the best lineman in the draft, got one of the best wide receivers in this damn draft, then gets a running back, and then he attacks the defense. He gets us multiple cornerbacks, multiple linebackers. So with the next 2 picks, back-to-back, Joe Douglas gets corners. Though the first guy, again, is listed as a safety. And that also shows me the intelligence of Joe Douglas, because he sees, the forest through the trees. He sees the grand scheme, the way to fit these players. It's not just about, like they said, Jamie Sherwood's a safety. In our system, he can be an outstanding linebacker. Again, the dude is a big hitter, excellent tackler. In fact, I want to share that other one with you. So I was telling you about what they said. Jamie Sherwood's defensive coordinator, Kevin Steele, said that Jamie Sherwood may be one of the best tacklers that I've ever seen in the secondary. Ever seen. Said he's always had good coverage skills and he can be very, very special. But like he said, he's an excellent tackler. He's a huge hitter and he's quite good in coverage. So as a linebacker, he excites me. He really excites me in that linebacker role because as a former safety, for a linebacker, he's going to be very fast. He's going to be very agile. He's going to have good ball skills, good ball tracking and ball hawking skills, things that you don't normally see in a linebacker. I'm excited. So that's the versatility of, again, Robert Saleh, of Joe Douglas, looking for these hybrid players, looking for these hybrid defenders. And he did it with the next pick. The next pick, Joe Douglas takes a safety again. But I'm telling you guys, after reading about him, I don't think he's playing safety. Now, here's what's also funny about the next pick. You guys know it because Twitter had a field day with it. Joe Douglas took Michael Carter before, but wait a minute. Now he just took Michael Carter again. What's happening? Which way are we going? Joe Douglas took 2 Michael Carters in this draft. Everyone had a field day on it on Twitter. ESPN, NFL Network, they loved it. Everyone had a field day on it. And they couldn't stop talking about how the Jets took 2 guys with the exact same name. But the Michael Carter they took the second time, what's even more ironic is the first Michael Carter played for North Carolina with the Tar Heels. The second one played with Duke. Not only did Joe Douglas take 2 Michael Carters, he took them from rival schools. That's crazy, man. That's just like, that's a Joe Douglas thing. Like, we're going to be saying that from now on. Like, that's a Joe Douglas thing. He took 2 guys with the same name from rival schools. It's crazy. But he takes this guy from Duke, and he's listed as a safety. But Michael Carter, I don't think is playing safety at the next level, guys. So talking about Michael Carter a second, because excited me with an again, because if we don't get him confused, we're not talking about running back Michael Carter. We're talking about cornerback safety Michael Carter. Michael Carter II. And ironically, again, I'm not picking on him. I'm not saying he's number 2. That's his actual name. You would think I'm saying he's the second, but no, he's actually Michael Carter II. So Michael Carter II, the Duke cornerback, when Douglas drafted him on the phone, Douglas said, I'm drafting you because you're a playmaker. Robert Saleh said, we've got a plan for you in this defense. He said your combination of speed, athleticism, man coverage ability, instincts, and smarts all works in what we do. Man, that was a hell of a compliment. Man, he gave compliments to everybody, but that blew my mind because I thought, Michael Carter may fit in this system, but that right there, man, that tells me they have plans for Michael Carter. And why shouldn't they? So we said Michael Carter was originally a safety, but Michael Carter is 5'11", 190 pounds, and he's a burner. Think about this. Guys that Joe Douglas has playing in the slot, who did he get? Joe Douglas last year got an undrafted guy in Javelin Guidry. Javelin Guidry ran a 4.29 40. Michael Carter ran a 4.3 40. A 4.3 40. So we have 2 interior guys now that are both around the same measurables. Guidry, too, around 5'11", 190 pounds, both almost identical 40 times. Douglas is showing that he's got a type. And I'm excited, man, because I think it's going to be Michael Carter and Javelin Guidry locking down the middle of that field. You guys remember I was telling you I was thinking about getting Asante Samuel Jr. And I was excited about Samuel Jr. because I wanted to play him and Guidry. People forget, we talk about slot corner, but let's flip it around for a second. There's two interiors to that field. You got an interior on this side. You got your end zone, your sidelines. You got your hash marks. You got interior on this side and interior on this side. It's beneficial to have two slot guys. I see Michael Carter and Javelin Guidry lighting it up in the slot. I really, really do. And I'm excited about the Michael Carter pick. At first, I'd seen him play. I thought he had good man coverage ability. Then Saleh praised his man coverage ability. And that got me thinking. Because in our new defense, we're going to be running primarily a zone. Or at least that's what I thought. We'll be running primarily a zone. But this is what this got me to realize. This got me to realize the same thing like with those hybrid defender theory. Going to where football is going. Coaching and drafting to the way football is going. You need to be versatile. You can't just line up in freaking zone all the time. By Robert Saleh telling that to Michael Carter, Robert Saleh is telling me that this defense is going to be doing a little bit of everything. This defense, if you're a player on Robert Saleh's team, you better be able to do it all. Because if you can't do it all, you're not going to have a roster spot for very long. And that's what that tells me. That if he's praising him for his man coverage ability, Saleh's going to be using slot guys in man. He's going to be using other guys in zone. He's going to be mixing it up with, man end zone schemes that are mixed together, multiple blitz packages. He's going to be coaching to an effective, non-predictable scheme. And I am excited about it. So we got Michael Carter with that pick. But I got to tell you guys, talking about corner, I think the next pick might be even more exciting. So with the next pick, the Jets take Jason Pinnock, a Pitt cornerback, a cornerback from the University of Pittsburgh. Now, I knew Pinnock. I hadn't talked about him too much because he just hadn't fallen in my mocks, but I actually watched him a good amount and I liked him play. I remembered him being a very physical corner, being very physical and, fighting with wide receivers and making, contested plays. That's what I remembered most about him sticking out in my mind. And I was right, but not only that, man, Jason Pinnock, guys. Jason Pinnock might be the outside corner that you guys were looking for. A lot of you guys kept saying, I kept saying linebacker, but a lot of you guys kept saying that cornerback was the biggest need on the defense. And we needed outside cornerbacks. Well, that's exactly what Jason Pinnock is. Jason Pinnock is about 6'1", 190, I think it's about 4 or 5 pounds. He's quick, he's fast, but he's a physical cornerback, a very, very physical cornerback. Please check it out. I tweeted some of my favorite videos on Pinnick, including one of my favorite defensive plays that shows the physicality of him. He gets chippy with wide receivers, man. You know who Pinnick reminds me of? Pinnick honestly reminds me of a young Richard Sherman. That's a good way to put Jason Pinnock. Jason Pinnock reminds me of a young Richard Sherman. He's very, very strong, very, very physical, very chippy. He's going to press you at the line, but he's got very good awareness. He's got very good ball tracking skills. I've seen him, he makes the play, but he's very, very physical with defense, with wide receivers. That's the crucial key with him, man. That's what I like. Watch Jason Pinnock. Again, tweeted out videos with him. He's got good speed. He's got everything you look for in a prototypical outside corner. But more importantly than anything, he's a physical guy. He gets chippy with wide receivers. He will fight them at the line and down the field. There's a very good chance that Bryce Hall and Jason Pinnock could be our starting outside corners week 1. I can say it right now. Maybe Bless Austin. But again, Bryce Hall and Jason Pinnock could be our starting outside corners. King's excited, man. King says, yes, sir. And I'm telling you, bro, don't sleep on Jason Pinnock. I'd said it. He is the outside cornerback that you guys were waiting for. You fans said you wanted an outside guy. Joe Douglas got an outside guy. And don't forget that Bryce Hall was a 5th-round pick last year. Well, Jason Pinnick is a 5th-round pick this year. And last year, Bryce Hall looked like a CB1. And that was in a bad system. Remember, we talked about that. In a bad system, coached by Greg Williams, with Adam Gase as the head coach, trying not to vomit here. Hall looked like a CB1 in that system. Could be even better this year. King mentions it. I like Bless. I like Bless too. I mean, you may be biased, but I like Bless. Bless Austin is an excellent man coverage corner. He really is. He struggles in zone, and that showed last year. It showed that he struggled in zone coverage. He struggled with, reading plays and matching up in zone. I felt like he was a mismatch in that system last year. I think it's going to be exciting to see how Saleh uses him this year. Because again, Robert Saleh told Michael Carter, I'm drafting you for your man coverage ability. See, he's going to be doing a little bit of it all. So Bless is better in man coverage. Bryce Hall can do it all. People forget, when we drafted Bryce Hall, everyone was saying, Bryce Hall was a zone guy. Bryce Hall played nothing but zone coverage in college, really, and he was a zone coverage guy. People questioned how he would match up in man. I knew he would kill it. From what I saw, I was really excited with Bryce Hall. He was honestly one of my favorite of Joe Douglas's picks. But we're switching now to a zone-based scheme, and Bryce Hall thrives in the zone. So you're putting Bryce Hall in his bread and butter. He showed last year that he's a very, very good man coverage corner, but zone is his thing. Zone is what he does best, and we're moving into that now. So again, I'm telling you guys, like with getting those safeties to play linebacker, Joe Douglas is going to be doing a little bit of everything. Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is going to be doing a little bit of it all. Robert Saleh is going to be lining guys up in man, lining guys up in zone, and using guys to their strengths, because that's what you're supposed to do. And it's going to be exciting to watch, guys. It's going to be exciting to watch. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on Jason Pinnock. I love his physicality on the outside. When it comes to physicality, I love it the way he matches up at wide receivers. So, after we take Jason Pinnock, though, this is what's interesting. So remember I told you guys when we took Jamie and Sherwood, I was a little mad. I didn't realize we were going to be using him as a linebacker. I was a little mad on the pick. Then when they announced he was going to be playing linebacker, I thought about it, and I got really excited, and my brain kind of exploded because it made me all excited, realizing, that what we just talked about. Robert Saleh coaching to where football is going, Joe Douglas understanding that versatility, wanting hybrid guys, wanting these big physical safeties that as linebackers are going to be insane. They're going to be fast, quick, agile, big hitters, but very good in coverage as well. But here's the thing, though, and I think I tweeted it out. I'd said it. When we took Jamie and Sherwood and they announced she was going to be playing safety, when they announced he was going to be playing linebacker, my immediate thought was Hamza Nasruddin. My immediate thought was, okay, I can dig it. But if we're going to be going that route, man, Hamza was my guy. I really, really liked Hamza in this draft. Now, let's talk about Hamza for a second, because, again, I really, really like Hamza. Now, Hamza Nasruddin, in 2018 and 2019 together, over 2 years. So just in 2 years, Nasruddin had 192 tackles, 2.5 TFLs, 1 sack, 3 interceptions, a defensive touchdown, 5 passes defensed, a fumble recovery, and 3 forced fumbles. Now, Nasruddin is a beast. Remember, I was thinking it, when we took Sherwood, that was my immediate thought. Man, if we're going with safeties to play linebacker, I want Nasruddin. Because, guys, Nasruddin is even bigger than Sherwood. I think he hits harder than Sherwood. I think he's more physical than Sherwood. But even more important, he's good in coverage. Nasruddin is slept on in coverage. This kid is going to be great. I think both Sherwood and Nasruddin will be our linebacker starters on week 1. I predict it. I think both guys are going to do unbelievably great in training camp. They're going to be flying all over the field as former safeties. Again, as safeties, great ball awareness, great field vision, flying all over the field, making all the tackles, breaking plays up at the line of scrimmage. Because when you think about it, when a linebacker moves to the line of scrimmage, aren't they really a box safety? And that's what these two guys are great at. Joe knew what he was doing. Joe knew exactly what he was doing. Joe took two big hitters, two excellent tacklers, two physical safeties that as linebackers have elite speed and excellent coverage skills. He knew exactly what he's doing, man, and I am excited. But as I said, I like the Sherwood pick, but I like Hamza even more. In 2020, Hamza only played 2 games because he was hurt. He was hurt the whole season. Only played 2 games. But in those 2 games, Hamza had 13 tackles, 1.5 TFLs, 1 interception, and a pass defensed. I had thought, and I wasn't the only one. I went back because I thought it, so I checked it. Hamza Nasruddin in almost everybody's mocks was predicted between the 2nd and the 4th round. All those mocks. In almost everybody's mock, Hamza was predicted between the 2nd and the 4th round. We got Hamza Nasruddin in the 6th round. Man, that was amazing value. That is unbelievable value. So again, you heard everything I just said about Sherwood, everything I said about Nasruddin. Both of those guys, I think, will be starters. They're going to come out of camp, light it the hell up, be unbelievable hybrid linebackers, excellent in coverage, playing tight ends well, playing very physical, making big tackles, blasting running backs, blitzing the quarterback. They're going to be amazing. I think they're going to start week 1. I'm excited about that tandem. Like Jason said, he knew exactly what he was doing, man. Joe knew exactly what he was doing. And hell, I even questioned it. When he took Sherwood, I was a little, I don't know. I didn't hate the pick because, again, I liked the kid at Auburn and a little bit I'd seen. Hadn't done a lot of safety depth, but I'd seen a lot of Hamza because I love that kid. Man, Hamza I'm a big fan of that kid, and I'm not the only one. I'm telling you guys, go back and check. Hamza Nasruddin was a top prospect to some people. Some people said Hamza Nasruddin could have went in the 2nd round. King asks why he dropped. He was hurt last year. Hamza was out almost all of 2020. He only played 2 games. I mean, like I said, in the 2 games he played, he had 13 tackles. And in 2018 to 2019 alone, in just 2 years, he had 192 tackles. Hamza had 192 tackles in just 2 years. This kid gets to the ball carrier. He gets to the guy. I'm telling you guys. So why did he drop? I would say it's got to be, again, due to the injury. I mean, nothing else makes sense to me. I mean, check it. Go look at people's boards. Hamza was predicted between the 2nd and the 4th. Some people had him as high as a day 2 pick. Some people said round 3, round 4. Nobody had this kid in the 6th round. I was blown away he was still available. I love the pick. Like I said, I love the Nasruddin pick even more than I like the Sherwood pick. So after Nasruddin, again, going back to the cornerback position, Joe Douglas gets a quarterback in Brandon Echols. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm infinitely more excited about Michael Carter in the slot and Javelin Guidry in the slot. Much more excited about those two. But you got to have depth. We talk about it all the time. I've mentioned it to you guys. People think, this ain't a Madden game. This is real life. It's the NFL. You can't just have 4 defensive linemen or, 2, 3 good wide receivers. You need to rotate guys in. People get tired. People get winded. There's different matchup abilities. Different guys do different in different positions. You need quality depth. You need rotational pieces. So Brandon Echols is a good depth slot option, in my opinion. Hell, I could be wrong. He could push to start. But I'm really excited about Michael Carter, the DB from Duke, and Javelin Guidry, our undrafted guy last year in the slot. But let's look at Brandon Echols for a second. Brandon Echols is 5'11", 178 pounds, just like those other guys, just like you want in a slot guy. Great speed, good agility, good ball tracking skills. He checks all the boxes too. So don't get me wrong. Brandon Echols could definitely push to start. That's what makes this exciting. We said we need help to corner. A lot of you guys said we need help to cornerback. I said linebacker was a biggish issue. Let's look at this for a second. After this draft at linebacker, hopefully CJ Mosley's good. I haven't heard anything. So honestly, I feel like, CJ Mosley's got to be good to go because we haven't heard anything. So if Mosley's good to go and God willing he can stay healthy, that's an excellent Mike option. Hopefully he's the leader he was supposed to be. Yeah, John says it right here, just to go back to that. He had Nasruddin ranked 72nd. Dude, Nasruddin went 186th. That's crazy. And that's about right, John. 72nd. Shit, I've seen people that had him in the 50 and 60 range. We got Nasruddin at 186. That's crazy to me. That's just straight up crazy town, guys. Crazy town. So Nasruddin is massively underrated. That kid's got unbelievable potential. But like we just said, on defense, we had said that linebacker, I had said was a major need of ours. And you guys said corner was a major need. At linebacker, if CJ Mosley's good to go, I think our outside linebacker starters are going to be Jeremy Sherwood, and Hamza Nasruddin. Those are going to be our two outside linebacker starters. And don't forget, remember, rotational pieces, putting people in. Maybe Gerard Davis becomes good. Maybe Gerard Davis becomes what he's supposed to be. You guys remember, I was freaking out that people were saying we only needed one outside linebacker because we had Gerard Davis. Guys, Gerard Davis was crap the last 4 years. He wasn't good. So now it doesn't matter if he's good or not. It doesn't matter. I predict that Jeremy Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin are going to be unbelievable as outside linebackers. They're going to plug in all that stuff I mentioned before with Mosley. We have linebackers now. And then we got Gerard Davis and Blake Cashman in reserve. You can't beat that. Now, we said cornerback was a major need. I've said it already. I think just like Bryce Hall did, Jason Pinnock could be an outside starter potentially quite quick. I am really excited about Jason Pinnick. But let's say it's not Pinnick. We now at cornerback have Bryce Hall, Bless Austin, Jason Pinnick, and in the slot, we have Javelin Guidry, Michael Carter, and Brandon Echols. That's some depth. That's some talent right there. So that's pretty exciting. I'm excited about that. So we could definitely, potentially, sign a corner in free agency. And I was going to get to that, but I'll bring it up now. So I still think Bryce Hall has CB1 potential, but as now it is just potential. We could still use an excellent corner or, a good corner. There's still some corners available in free agency. Some people talk about Steven Nelson. I believe Richard Sherman's still available. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty confident Sherman's still available. Some other guys too, but don't sleep on those cornerback options. We got Bryce Hall, Bless Austin, Jason Pinnick now on the outside. We also got Lamar Jackson. And no, I'm not talking about Lamar Jackson from the Ravens. No, we're not getting him from playing cornerback. We're not trading for him. You guys remember Lamar Jackson last year. He was an undrafted guy out of Nebraska. What you may not know, I pointed out to you guys as well, Lamar Jackson had the lowest missed tackle percentage on our entire team. He had the lowest missed tackle percentage of any Jets player. So that's pretty exciting. I always thought that, he's a very big, physical corner. He's not the fastest guy, but he's big and physical. He could definitely, step up. So I want to point out what King says. King says bringing back Poole. Man, I wasn't against bringing back Poole, don't get me wrong, but I figured the longer Poole was a free agent, that told me the more Joe Douglas believed in Javelin Guidry. Man, I pointed it out to you guys. Brian Poole, one of the best slot corners in the NFL the last 2 years, he gets hurt. Javelin Guidry comes in. They didn't miss a beat. That team didn't miss a beat. Nothing changed. That's a hell of a compliment to come in for a good player and not play any worse. And not only did he not play worse, he barely graded lower. Javelin Guidry was only a couple of PFF coverage points below Poole last year. Poole had a 77-something. Guidry had a 73-something. Guidry only ranked slightly below pool in coverage last year. And Guidry was an undrafted guy, young, and ran a 4.29 40. That kid's a burner that can keep up with anybody. Now, again, you heard I mentioned Michael Carter just now. Michael Carter projects in the slot at about 5'11", 190 pounds, basically identical measures to Guidry, and basically same speed. Remember, Robert Saleh said, I'm drafting you because of your coverage ability, specifically in man coverage. He said, I'm drafting you because of your athletic ability, your speed, your instincts. It's very, very possible that Michael Carter and Javelin Guidry could be excellent. And I'm telling you guys, I don't even know if I want Poole anymore. I'll be honest. Even though Poole's an option, I'm excited about Michael Carter right now and Javelin Guidry and hell, even Brandon Echols. We have options right now. Brandon Echols, Michael Carter, Joe Douglas drafted 2 slot cornerbacks, 2 guys that measure out in the slot. I'm more excited about Carter, but 2 guys that are top end speed, good in coverage, good ball ability. So I'm really excited about both those guys. Now, want to answer some of your guys' questions as you guys are answering some questions, but I want to get to the last pick with the Jets. So the last pick now, and it sounds like I've went through a lot of picks. That's because I did. The Jets, guys, was one of the Jets, had 10 picks. The Jets had 10 draft picks. Remember, we traded up to get Vera Tucker and then traded down twice later to get back more picks. Joe Douglas walked away with 10 players in this draft, guys. 10. And man, that's exciting. I am excited. So, with the last pick of the draft, at 207th overall, he takes a defensive lineman, Jonathan Marshall. Now, what's interesting about Jonathan Marshall is his stats ain't bad. The kid plays for Arkansas. Over the last 2 years, he has 52 tackles, 11 TFLs, 1.5 sacks, pass defense, 2 forced fumbles. Now, he's a big dude at 6'3", 317 pounds. But in the little bit of research, I haven't done too much research on him, I'll be honest. But in the little bit of research I did, almost everywhere, everybody said this kid needed to add more strength. A lot of people said that they felt that maybe he was played out of position as a nose tackle and that he had excellent athletic ability, and that's true. For a 6'3", for a 6'3", 317-pound dude, this guy moves. Jonathan Marshall moves for a 317-pound guy. So for his size, he's quick, he's fast, he's agile, but the knock on him was his strength. People knocked it. So they said that he maybe would work more as a defensive end. So I thought that maybe he'd be more like a John Franklin Myers, more of a versatile piece that you can play on the inside or the outside. But here's what's interesting, guys. Right after the draft, it was tweeted that Brandon Marshall. That's funny. Throwback. One of the best, wide receivers, one of our great Jet guys back in 2015. But Jonathan Marshall ran a 4.8 140, had a 32-inch vertical, but he had 36 bench press reps. People were knocking Jonathan Marshall's strength, but Jonathan Marshall had 36 bench press reps. This guy is a beast. So I don't know, to me, that tells me coaching. If you tell me this guy can put up 36 reps, but you're knocking his strength, that says coaching to me. That says that the ability is there, but it just needs to be honed and it needs to be crafted. In fact, that 40 time, that vertical time, those 36 bench press, they put Jonathan Marshall with a 99 overall athletic score for defensive tackles in the last draft. He had a 99 athletic score. That's awesome. So the biggest knock, again, on Jonathan Marshall was his strength. Everywhere I looked, everyone was saying that he wasn't the strongest guy. He wasn't really suited to be an interior defensive lineman, and he'd be better on the end. So again, that told me that Joe plans to use him like a John Franklin Myers, that he's going to be a versatile guy that can play on the outside or the inside, that you can move around that defensive line. But then again, he had 36 bench press reps. So I want to contradict what those guys are saying. The strength is there. In fact, the strength is there in spades. The kid had 36 bench press reps. So the potential is there. So this draft, guys, Joe Douglas killed it. He friggin' killed it. And again, we talked about draft grades. Basically everywhere, everyone was giving Joe Douglas an A. Everyone was giving either Joe Douglas an A or an A minus. I saw a couple of people giving him a B plus or a B, but that's it. That was the lowest grade. Joe Douglas killed it, guys. In fact, Joe Douglas killed it so hard, I think people forgot he killed it in free agency. Don't forget how much Joe Douglas killed free agency. Between Joe Douglas's last free agency, getting guys like Carl Lawson, an elite edge rusher, somebody we haven't had in a long time, Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, the list goes on and on. After Joe Douglas killed it in his last free agency and then killed it in this draft, man, we are now seeing what I've been saying for a while. I've been saying, guys, and you know it, I've been saying that Joe Douglas is a great GM. I've seen what I needed to in that first draft. I'd seen what I needed to in his trades, in his decision-making, in everything he does, everything he says, everything he does. I saw very quickly, and again, that was after years of freaking McCagnon, years of freaking Itzik. After watching it done wrong for so long, I was excited to see it done right. And we're getting those dividends now, guys. Killed that free agency and killed this draft. That was an A-plus draft. So I just went through that whole list. A lot of great picks there. But Paul asks about undrafted free agents. And Joe did a great job with undrafted free agents too. So I don't have all the names in front of me right now, but the two big guys that jump out to me are Joe brought in an edge rusher. Joe brought in a guy named Hamilcar Rashed Jr. Now, Rashed Jr. is a little undersized. As you guys know, I say it myself, so I don't like to get caught up on measurables. Don't worry about measurables. Remember, last year, Frankie Louvu had a pretty damn good year. He played pretty well for us toward the end of the season, and he weighed 236 pounds too. So don't get too caught up on measurables. People say, this guy can't play in this system because he's this size. This guy can't play in that system because he doesn't match this way. When you get caught up on measurables, you don't get the great players. You miss out on those cerebral traits. You miss out on heart. Football, as we said, is mental, and it's about heart, man. And that's what's important. So, Hamilcar Rashed Jr., that kid was a one-year wonder. But talk about a one-year wonder. And Hamilcar Jr. in 2019 had 22 TFLs and 14 sacks. That's right. In one season, the undrafted guy we got had 14 sacks. Now, again, without getting too caught up in measurables, I felt that he would match up better in a 3-4 system. He's a little smaller, but I think I'm excited, man. I think he's got potential. I think he's got potential to be something. I mean, he's an undrafted guy. You know, last year, Douglas got an undrafted edge rusher too. And man, that was one of my favorite guys. You guys know how I feel about Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff has a lot of potential. In fact, even though we have all this defensive line talent with, Rankins and Quinnen Williams, who again, as you guys might have heard, I hope I hope I'm not breaking it to you right now, but Quinnen Williams hurt himself. Quinnen Williams got hurt. It was tweeted out this morning, and he's going to be out for a little while. So that's pretty devastating. That's hurting to me. So they say, though, that he's not going to miss the regular season. Let's hope. Let's pray. Let's put our prayers out there for Quinnen Williams, guys, because we're hoping he can get healthy. So Quinnen should hopefully be able to get healthy. He's got an injury, but him, Rankins, Myers, Fatukasi, we got Lawson on the edge. Don't sleep on Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff has a lot of potential. I've told you guys all about him. I love that kid. I think he's better in the 4-3 system. I thought last year he played better when his hand was in the dirt. I think that's where he is a better player. He's going to strive as a 4-3 defensive end. I think he could be just like Lawson. I think Lawson and Huff can eat on those ends. But again, as an undrafted guy, we got Rashed Jr. And Rashed Jr., he only did it in 1 year, but it was a hell of a 1 year. Now, Paul brings it up, and I was going to mention that guy next. This was my second favorite free agent signing. And my second favorite free agent signing was undrafted free agent Kenny Yabo. Now, Kenny Yabo is an excellent addition, not just because of his talent ability, but because of how weak we are at tight end. You guys know we've talked about it on here. We have great blocking options in Trayvon Wesco and Tyler Kroft. Trayvon Wesco and Tyler Kroft are two excellent blocking tight ends, where especially because our offensive line has struggled, over the last couple of years, having good blocking tight ends is key. These two guys can line up as fullbacks. They can line up on the edge of the line. But when it comes to a talented receiving option, all we had was Chris Herndon. That was it. That was the only guy we had, Chris Herndon. But let's talk about Kenny Yabo for a second, guys. Kenny Yabo played for Ole Miss last year with Elijah Moore. In fact, next to Elijah Moore, Kenny Yabo was the most talented guy on that team. Kenny Yabo had the most production on that team. Last year as a tight end, he had over 500 yards, and we got him as an undrafted guy. He's not the best blocker, but he's not the worst, but he is a very good receiving option. He could be a very good receiving option for the Jets. So now we talked about tight end being a problem. I had told you guys, so again, we've talked about all these picks. We talked about with Joe Douglas killing it in free agency. We talked about Joe Douglas killing it in the draft. I think our depth chart is much more well-rounded than it was in the past. So let's go through our depth chart for a second. We got our quarterback. We got Zach Wilson. In the backfield, I thought our running backfield, because in the 49ers system, committees are what they do. We've talked about it. I've talked about it with you guys in the past. The NFL is not about that flashy big running back anymore. That give me all the carries, 30 carries a game, all-star running back, top paid elite talent. There's not that many of them in the league anymore. There's a lot. There's, Ezekiel Elliott, maybe Aaron Jones. There's a couple of guys, and that's it. Running back is now done by committee, especially with the 49ers. We saw with the 49ers all of Saleh's career, basically. They did well with a committee backfield, and they did a committee backfield with some no-name guys. They had no-name guys like Rashad Mostert, and Mostert was unbelievable in that system. So I thought our running back committee of Ty Johnson, Josh Adams, Tevin Coleman, even Michael Perrine was a good committee, that there was talent back there in the backfield. But what does Joe Douglas do? He had UNC running back Michael Carter. UNC running back Michael Carter, who I told you reminds me of old school running back. He reminds me of those patient guys like Ladainian Tomlinson that would, cut in the backfield, wait a second, make an elusive move, hit the open gap. So Michael Carter is an exciting addition to that backfield. Now at wide receiver, we got Corey Davis and Denzel Mims, two guys that are wide receiver ones on their best days, playing on the outside. On the inside, you got Jamison Crowder still, and now Elijah Moore. Remember, we talked all about Elijah Moore, all that talent he brings. Him and Jamison Crowder are elite interior options. You got Keelan Cole in reserve, Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith, Lawrence Cager. There's a lot of talent at that position. Now at tight end, that was one of the issues I was afraid of. I was a little worried about tight end. I thought, we had blocking guys. We had Trayvon Wesco and Tyler Kroft, two good blocking tight ends. But when it came to receiving tight ends, we only had Chris Herndon. And Chris Herndon, as good as he was in his rookie year, and as good as he did do toward the end of last season. Remember, I pointed out to you guys, the end of last season, Chris Herndon had catch percentages of 78%, 100%, 77%, 100% again. He did well, but he's still a question mark. Kenny Yabo is going to push Herndon. Yabo is going to push Herndon to potentially start and be another receiving option at tight end. Now, offensive line, we got Mekhi Becton, obviously, as our left tackle, anchoring our blind side. Vera Tucker could technically play both sides. I think they're going to put him next to Mekhi Becton. I think they're going to put him next to Mekhi to make that left side just elite, to make that left side just truly elite to make it a force for defensive linemen and anybody to really reckon with, to allow running backs and people to be able to run and to allow that side to open up. So you put Vera Tucker there at left guard. You still got Connor McGovern at center. I'm not thrilled on it. But again, if the guard play is good, and if McGovern's bad, McGovern's bad. Remember, last year, McGovern allowed 6 sacks. That's not just, sacks because of bad guard play. That's 6 sacks that he is solely responsible for. That's not good. That's not good for a center. So I'm hoping for a big turnaround for McGovern. He's going to be playing center. I hope we see bigger turnaround. Now, people question that other guard position. People say, what's going on at that other guard position? And I got an answer for you guys. Don't sleep on Cameron Clark. That's my answer for that other guard position. Right at the end of last year's draft, not this one, last year's draft, the 2020 NFL draft, I had said that I really liked the Cam Clark pick. I said that Cam Clark, just like Mekhi Becton, just like what Joe Douglas likes in offensive linemen, he plays very physical, he plays very strong, he plays very dominant, but more importantly, he plays with a nasty streak. He likes to put people down on the earth like Becton does. He's a finisher. So Joey brings up, anybody you could feel, undrafted O-linemen make the team and contribute. We did bring in a couple of O-linemen. I don't have their names in front of me right now. I know we have the guy from Air Force. We have Tristan, who is one of the BYU offensive linemen. Even when we got Cameron Clark in the 4th round, I had said at the time, and it's still true, that offensive lineman is still one of the few positions in the NFL that still has a learning curve. It's still one of the few positions that takes time for you to get into. Guys like Vera Tucker go high for a reason, and that's the point. That's why Joe gets it. You need to take offensive linemen that are elite high. They go high because it's rare to draft an offensive lineman that you can plug into the NFL and they're going to play at a good level. It's rare. Most guys struggle. Anthony Thomas last year struggled. A lot of other offensive linemen struggled. Mekhi Becton was really damn good. I think Vera Tucker is also going to be really damn good. But again, that's why you take offensive linemen high. You take quality offensive linemen high because it's rare to find offensive linemen that are going to be excellent immediately at the next level. So it takes time. Any of those undrafted guys could potentially develop, but I don't see it out of the get-go. I do not see it out of the get-go. Most of those undrafted guys are most likely going to be on the practice squad. Some of them may make the team as backups. They're going to have to earn their spot. But again, Cameron Clark was drafted last year. I had said that, remember, Joe Douglas drafted him for his nasty streak, drafted him because he's a mauler, he's a finisher, he's basically like a smaller Mekhi Becton, really. But I had said that offensive lineman position takes time to develop, that I didn't think he would start till this year. But I think he could be a starter. So don't sleep on Cameron Clark. That's my answer for that other guard position. So our offensive linemen could potentially be Mekhi Becton, Vera Tucker, McGovern, Cameron Clark, and then George Fant. And I think that could be a quality offensive line. Again, think about it. With Cameron Clark, it takes time for offensive linemen to develop. They're not usually ready to go immediately day one, and you don't want them to go because they develop bad habits. They develop bad technique due to not being able to anticipate and keep up with the strength and speed of defensive linemen at the NFL level, and they struggle. So, like Bobby says, that's a line. Again, guys, don't sleep on Cameron Clark. That's my message. I really like the kid. Loved the kid last year in the draft. It takes time. Offensive line is one of those positions, unless you're a Mekhi Becton, unless you're a Vera Tucker. You don't want them plugged in day one. Vera Tucker is going to be plug and play day one, and Vera Tucker is going to be elite. Again, guys, I mentioned top guard in that draft. You need to think about that as like when Brandon Scherf was drafted, when Quinton Nelson was drafted. That's the quality we're talking about with Vera Tucker. So with Mekhi Becton, Vera Tucker, and Cameron Clark at that other guard spot, he's a beast. He plays strong. It's going to be all up to McGovern, guys. If McGovern struggles, then Joe's going to move on from him next year. Next year, he'll have the ability to do that. So the guard play should be a lot better this year. We're going to need to see a lot better play from McGovern. You guys remember I didn't want him to stay at center. I felt like a center having 6 sacks is basically a travesty. Bad guard play or not, no cerebral ability, not being able to pick up the slack of the guards. We need to see a lot better play from him. The guard play is going to be a lot better now, so he's going to need to step up. We're going to need to see better play from Connor McGovern. So, on to the defense. The defensive lineman, we got a lot of movable pieces. Quinnen Williams should hopefully be healthy by then. Sheldon Rankins, Jonathan Franklin Myers, Foley Fatukasi, Nathan Shepard, all movable pieces within the interior of that defensive line. On the edge, you got Carl Lawson, who you guys remember I gave you the numbers. 32 QB hits last year. That number is insane. The guy got to the quarterback twice every game last year. 32 QB hits in 2020. He's going to be an excellent elite edge rusher. I think Bryce Huff is underrated. They just got Hamasgar Rashed. Let's see what he can do. Franklin Myers can line up on the edge. Our biggest issue, though, was our linebacker and our cornerbacks. And you guys heard me before. Joe addressed it. Hopefully, C.J. Mosley's ready to go. Again, hopefully he's good to go. Hopefully he's going to be able to stay healthy. If he can be back to that 2019 form, then we have something elite. We have an elite Mike interior linebacker that we really need. The guy we had in the beginning of 2019 was amazing. If we have that back, that's awesome. Now, I feel that Jamian Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin will be starting at outside linebacker. That's my take. I think the two of them, again, you heard what I said before about those safeties transitioning the linebacker. As linebackers, they're going to have elite speed, agility, field-to-field ladder ability, excellent ball tracking, good coverage. They're both good tacklers, big hitters. I see them as plug-and-play outside linebackers day one. I'm really excited about that. But you still got Gerard Davis's depth, and you still got Blake Cashman. Now we look at the corner position. Hall, we talked about. We talked about Jason Pinnock. We talked about Bless Austin. We talked about Lamar Jackson, all outside options. In the slot, we went from having 1 to 3 options. And I think, as I've said, I think Michael Carter and Javelin Guidry are going to be blanking the interior field. I think we're going to see, when it comes to 4 receiver sets, I think we're going to see, Bryce Hall and Jason Pinnock on the outside, and Michael Carter the second, and Javelin Guidry on the inside. Michael Carter, the Duke corner, and Javelin Guidry are going to blanket the interior of that field. Again, they almost match up completely. They're both about 5'11", 190 pounds. Both of them run a 4.29, 4.3 40. Both of them are quite physical with good man coverage ability. I'm excited about that. I mentioned Jason Pinnock. Don't sleep on him as an outside corner. The kid is very, very physical. He's got good coverage skills, good awareness, plays, reads the quarterback very well, but he's very, very physical. Very physical for a corner. Again, I said he reminds me of potentially a young Richard Sherman. And then, at safety, we got Bryce Hall. We got Ashton Davis from last year. Lamarcus Joyner, who, don't forget, guys, Lamarcus Joyner, when he played free safety in the NFL, was elite. And remember, my fear was that because we didn't have enough slot guys, that when we lined up in, deeper receiver sets, that it was going to be Joyner and Guidry in the slot. Well, not anymore, guys. Joe Douglas went in the draft and got Michael Carter and Brandon Echols. Brandon Echols and Michael Carter are 2 good slot options. I like Michael Carter more, but 2 really good slot options. You got Javelin Guidry there. That's going to allow Lamarcus Joyner to do what he does best. That's going to allow Lamarcus Joyner to not have to move into the slot, to be able to stay as a free roaming safety. And you know what? When Lamarcus Joyner has only played free safety in the NFL, he has a PFF grade of 90.1. 90.1 when he plays free safety. Pretty shitty when he plays, corner, but excellent at free safety. So now with all these additions, we have depth at linebacker, good options there. We have some also very good options at corner. I would potentially, like I said, maybe sign a guy in free agency, a guy like Richard Sherman, bring in another outside guy, but don't sleep on Jason Pinnock. Jason Pinnock could definitely step up in training camp and be the guy. We have slot options. I was afraid of having to put LaMarcus Joyner in the slot. We got Javelin Guidry, Michael Carter, and Brandon Echols, and we got good safety options. So I'm really, really excited, guys. I think, as I mentioned, I think Joe Douglas killed this draft. Joe Douglas went out, got his quarterback of the future, my guy, the one I love, the one I wanted. He moves up and trades up to get the best lineman in this draft. And again, guys, don't think, he went 14. Vera Tucker, I said, could have been a top 15 pick. Joe Douglas doubled it down. Joe Douglas said he's a top 10 pick, and he really, really was. So remember, Vera Tucker, his pass blocking grade, his PFF pass blocking grade last season was a 92.8. 92.8. His pass blocking ability is going to be vital, but he's also a good run blocker. He's also got good strength. He's also got good speed, but his technique is perfect. Vera Tucker has flawless technique. So he trades up, gets that elite best offensive lineman in the draft, gets the second best wide receiver with the next pick, an excellent deep threat, gadget option, slot guy, gets a running back with the next pick, a versatile guy, a patient running back, something you don't see that often anymore, to add to that backfield. And then with the next couple of picks, guys, he gets two safeties that are going to play linebacker. I think are going to be almost instant starters. Another safety that's going to be a slot corner, gets another slot corner, and gets a defensive lineman. Gets an outside corner, Jason Pinnock. So I'm excited. I am really excited, guys. Joe Douglas killed this draft. Everyone's giving him A's and A minuses across the board, couple of B's, mainly A's and A minuses. Joe Douglas killed this draft. I was blown away with what he did. And again, getting guys like Jermaine Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin, especially Nasruddin. I gave you guys the stats. I was hugely high on Nasruddin. Don't forget that Nasruddin was supposed to be a 2nd to 4th round pick. John said he had him ranked 72nd. I seen people that had him in the 50 to 60 range. I can't believe he fell as far as he did. I really can't. Can't believe we got him at 186. So again, guys, Joe Douglas killed this draft. So that's the whole draft. I went through that depth chart. But what's exciting is all the positions that we thought we were weak at, Joe Douglas has addressed in either free agency or the draft. Let's take it a second now. Take a second to think about it. Quarterback, draft, running back, free agency, and the draft. Builds an excellent committee. Wide receiver, free agency. Gets a guy like Corey Davis, a wide receiver 1 potentially. And in the draft, gets a guy like Elijah Moore and got Denzel Mims last year. Tight end, gets Kenny Yabo, an undrafted guy. Offensive line, Vera Tucker. Defensive line, in free agency, he went out and got Sheldon Rankins and Carl Lawson and Vinnie Curry. And then in the draft, he gets an undrafted guy in Hamas Gar-Rashed and gets Jonathan Marshall at the end of the draft. Linebacker was the biggest need. Remember, we said linebacker, we didn't have any. If C.J. Mosley couldn't go and Gerard Davis sucked again, we potentially had nobody. He went and got 2 hybrid players that are going to be excellent linebackers. Again, guys, I can't stress. The more you remember when I read about Jamie and Sherwood being the big hitter, being a great tackler, good in coverage, all the things I love about Nasruddin, I can't stress how great I think these 2 guys are going to look at linebacker. I am so excited about how these 2 guys are going to look at linebacker. And then, corner. You mentioned what I talked about before. Joe did it, guys. Joe Douglas fixed our roster, built us into a team through the NFL free agency and the draft. Killed it, man. Just killed it. Put together an outstanding team, gave Zach Wilson weapons, a lot of weapons, in his backfield, a lot of excellent receiving weapons. He gave him an offensive line, built that defensive up, got us linebackers, got us cornerbacks. We have it, guys. I've been saying it for a while. We have a great GM. And Joe Douglas is a great GM. So I'll open it up to any questions now. But I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's so much, so greatness to be excited about. So much potential to be excited about. Bobby mentioned, Hamza. Again, man, I'm blown away. I do not believe he was available that late. I still cannot believe Hamza was available that late. So it's amazing, guys. Joe Douglas killed that draft, killed free agency. We have a great GM. We have our future quarterback in Zach Wilson. We are moving forward. I am excited. This is going to be something really, really great. So I want to thank you guys, like always, for tuning in to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. Thank you for being here on your Tuesday evening. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you guys. Shout out in the chat. Shout out to Joey, Bobby, Paul, King, Jason, John, Jeff, Zach, Sean, all you guys. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here. This is really, really exciting. Before we go, King asked two questions. What two guys you think can be the offensive rookies of the year? For offensive rookies of the year, I mean, if we're just going to go with anybody on any team, but if we're going to go with guys on the Jets, dude, Elijah Moore, man. Elijah Moore was a great pick. We talked about, all the excellent, stats that he put up, the high potential he has. I love Jamison Crowder. But Crowder may not be in the future plans. I mean, he might be in the plans this year, but if Elijah Moore blows up, he may not re-sign Jamison Crowder. He may let Crowder walk. And you know what? If Elijah Moore blows up, that's fine. So Elijah Moore could potentially be one of those elite rookies of the year. Definitely. But I want to thank you guys, like always, again, for tuning in. Thank you again for being here for the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. Usually, we're on Mondays. Be there Mondays, 7 p.m. I want to thank you guys again, and I want you to have a great Tuesday evening.